Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the threeohtake, where we talk all things Major League Baseball. Here's Kyle Corwin and Nate Reyes. It all starts right now.
Welcome back to the threeohtake, presented by SeatGeek. This is episode 480. I'll be your host, Kyle Corwin, and I'm here with a very, very dejected Yankees fan, Nate Reyes. My co-host, Nate.
Let's get this over with.
What just happened?
I got hope. That's what happened.
This was just game 1.
I know. Instant classic. I'll say that.
I tweeted it out. I sure hope those folks that said they weren't going to watch a minute of this World Series, I hope they're enjoying recalking their bathrooms tonight. Unbelievable.
I'm hurting, man. I'm hurting.
It still hasn't sunk in yet. Like, I don't even have a dog in this fight. You obviously do here, but oh, man. I was on the edge of my seat, and I know that phrase gets thrown around a lot, but I was nervous. My heart rate was through the roof.
Yeah.
This game had everything. Everything.
I know. You're going to look at the box score if you didn't watch, and you're not going to see that this was a pitching duel for 6 innings. And you're not even going to need to know that. Like, it's a huge part of the game, but not a part of the box score. It's not a part of the headlines. It's a great game. Instant classic for sure. And something that just dagger right in the heart. Just dagger right in the good spot.
I'm going to ask you to do something very difficult. I'm going to ask you to suspend your disappointment, the sting of what just happened in the bottom of the 10th inning, just so we can, even for just a few minutes, dissect just how good of a baseball game this was. I know it hurts. I know you're feeling it right now, but that legitimately had to have been one of the best baseball games I've watched in my lifetime. And I'm sure recency bias, but when I say that game had everything, if you watched that game, you saw everything.
Yeah.
You saw small ball. You saw phenomenal starting pitching. You saw pitchers with length in this game. You saw great defensive plays. You saw clutch at bats. You saw ABs where guys were working the pitch count. You had home runs taken away. You had calls reversed. You had diving plays into the sand. I mean, just everything.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a good game. Just definitely a good game. I mentioned it before, like 2 phenomenal starts out of Cole and Flaherty in 2 different kind of ways. And it felt like, all right, well, is this maybe a little bit of a dud for game 1? Like, is this going to be, are we feeling like, maybe the layoff is for at least the offensive side, is that hurting us? Like, is that, and then, I mean, just, I'm not going to say dominance by any means. Like, obviously we've seen great pitching duels before, and I think this one is great considering the circumstances. You saw a little bit different. Like, I think Flaherty looked better than Cole personally. I think Cole, the weird thing when he starts is that it's like, you can tell when he's trying to strike everyone out. He's trying to be untouchable for the game. And that's typically when he's struggling to get through 5 because the pitch count is too high. And then this one was like, I have to go deep. So I'm just going right at these guys. And we saw balls hit to the track. We saw, I mean, the first inning was all barrels. Whereas Flaherty has, I think, looked the best he's looked all postseason. It was spinning it like crazy. Fastball playing up. I mean, the slider and curveball were moving. Like, he looked really, really good.
I had tweeted out about Flaherty. The Dodgers had tweeted out his line, just being like, and that's a World Series start in the books for Flaherty, whatever. And I was in the replies, and I was like, one bad pitch, otherwise incredible effort. And then I followed up that tweet immediately, and I was like, what am I even saying? That wasn't it. Stanton
backed up.
Golfed that pitch.
It just backed up a little bit. Backed up a little bit. But
I mean, you take that AB away,
that
and that's an incredible. And honestly, tip of the cap to Flaherty, because I'm sure you saw he rolled up to Dodger Stadium in a Fernando Valenzuela jersey, and I mean, it kind of stings for him to have that blemish on his outing, but otherwise, just a great way to honor him. That was big.
I'm not trying to be dramatic when saying this, and obviously we're going to dissect this game a little bit more, but like, I think this was the dream scenario for the Dodgers and worst case scenario for the Yanks. I think this was the worst possible outcome for the Yankees. I think they played a good game, but I think this was the worst possible outcome. They had to get to Flaherty early. They had to get to this bullpen early, because game one dictates so much of game two because of an off day Sunday. And it really just kind of lays out what Dave Roberts is going to do with his pitching staff tomorrow. And so Flaherty going deep was everything for the Dodgers. The fact that they got a dub was a last second, cherry on top. And I think the Yankees would have been thrilled if they obviously, can steal one in LA. But this was worst case scenario for the Yanks, in my opinion.
To your point about Flaherty, I think Flaherty, pitched better comparatively, given the expectations of each one of the starting pitchers coming into tonight. Cole,
he gave you a Cole start.
Exactly.
He's not Cole. Like, that's.
Every headline coming into this game was, chances are Garrett Cole is going to give you what Garrett Cole typically gives you, and he went 6, only gave up 1, had 4 Ks on the night, which call it what it is. I mean, it's tough to rack up strikeouts against that lineup.
That and the way he's attacking, like, that was built for that start. That game plan was built for length. It was not built for trying to mow guys down. Like, I think he's very capable of getting 7-8 strikeouts every start, and that wasn't his game plan. This was to get outs quickly and attack guys early in the count. And some were barreled. It didn't look pretty, but it ends up being a pretty good stat line in the end.
I'm sort of with you in saying that this was worst case scenario for the Yankees. Worst case is you don't get length out of Cole in this start. He gives you 6.
Yeah.
So although the Yankees obviously lose out in the end, the fact that you didn't have to tap into your bullpen as aggressively, given that Cole was able to do what not. The reality of it is, not a lot of pitchers that have been able to do this postseason is take you into the 6th, the 7th, so on and so forth. The fact that he was able to do that, again, despite the loss, that has to help at least a little bit in game 2 and setting the Yankees up for the travel day coming up on Sunday. But my goodness, the pitching duel. I talked about the defensive play. I mean,
there were big plays, man. Big plays. I think it was the 6th inning when Tommy Edman had that diving slide up the middle on that single to keep Jazz at third from scoring from second. And then I think we had a strikeout right after that ended the inning. Simple but huge play. Not that it it ended up not mattering because of the way that Jazz ended up, going throughout in the ninth, but I think it was the ninth or the eighth. It's all blending together at this point. But that single to right center for Jazz, Mookie cutting it off before getting it to, before it got to the wall. Like, yes, Jazz still stole second and still ended up scoring in that inning, but like, it's just little things that don't show up in the box score, that don't show up in the book, that were big defensive plays. You take it to the Yankee side, that Jazz play, that I thought Mookie hit that 150 miles an hour. That ball is absolutely smoked. Short hop. Excellent play. I think Ohtani was on third.
I tell you what, the exit velo nerds were loving this game.
Oh yeah, dude. Balls were juiced.
Laced tonight.
Balls were juiced. The Verdugo, man, like I can you give him some flowers here? Like, I think we all know what he is offensively. Like, there's a flash of something every once in a while.
Sure,
but like defensively, he's been special for a while now. And big plays tonight.
Well, that wasn't the feeling I had in the first inning on that misplay on that Freddie double, allowing him to get to third on a bad ankle.
That was a bad angle. That was overrun. I didn't like that. I didn't like the Soto aggressive on that. Was that Kike?
Yeah.
That turned into a triple.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't turn into a triple. You know what I mean? Like, I think
yeah.
Just playing a little over aggressive and kind of overrunning some things. I'm being nitpicky, but like Oswaldo Cabrera kind of overrunning that, or over diving that single by Edman in the last inning there.
He was just into the game at that point, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So Glaber had hit that double, and then Dominguez pinch ran, and then Oswaldo came in. But I think one of the biggest plays that's extremely small, but like watching it as a player and a coach, like it makes you really kind of pissed, was that Ohtani double off the wall. Soto throws it in, and Torres deliberately gives himself a backhand short hop on a non-play, a play that, like, it's a stand-up double. There's no play at the bag. All you have to do is take a few steps back, get a long hop, keep it off your chest kind of thing, worst case scenario. And he's lazy with footwork. He tries to backhand it, and it flicks off his glove. Ohtani goes to third, and then you have that Mookie sac fly that was hit on a line to Judge. Like, those are little things that, I know I'm being nitpicky, but like, those are things that tied the game. Like, that's a big thing. Like, keeping him at second means that you probably attack Mookie a little bit differently. And
that's not nitpicky, man.
It's big enough to affect the final score. It's big enough to affect things. And
at this stage of the season, that's huge.
It can't happen. And this is what I was telling you before the series, is that like the Yankees have to be perfect with those types of plays. And that's how I've seen them lose throughout this year. And it's just like taking a half a second off, and it ends up being a big moment.
Yeah, to your point, there were so many. We talked about, or I mentioned it earlier. Just this game had everything. It had small ball, and it had these moments, just scattered, littered throughout, where you're taking an extra bag. One that comes to mind: no coverage at third on Jazz swiping the bag.
Yep.
Not sure what we're doing there.
Yep.
There was just so many moments where, and you mentioned one, Soto. Overly aggressive on that, what would have been a fly out turns into a triple, or he was hoping that it would have been a fly out had he got there. There's just so many moments throughout this game where if it goes the other way, we could be looking at a completely different outcome.
I mean, you're talking like you can play this game on both sides, but like that Ohtani double, you add 3 feet to that. And,
oh my goodness.
now we're talking a little bit of a different story. The Glaber one. Yeah, I do think it was going to hit off the wall. Yeah, I do think it was a double. But like, I don't know. I've seen that pad give and it skip off the top of the fence before. Like, I don't know. We don't know that. It's just.
I think objectively that was a
close.
double, but I
I
get
think
what
it
you're
was
saying.
a double. I do think it was a double. But like, we'll never know. It's just there's so many little things, man. So many little things. You're right, dude. Like when you come to think of it, like we saw excellent defense, we saw excellent base running, we saw bunting, we saw home runs.
They mentioned it in the broadcast. They're like, what year is it? We have starting pitchers going into the 7th. We're seeing sacrifice bunts.
Yeah. It's excellent.
And shout out, I don't want it to go unnoticed, but in the vein of good defense, that play that Rizzo made over the shoulder.
Dude, get rid of that hat, dude. Get rid of that bill. Yeah. Get that out of there. I like that.
Help yourself out a little bit.
I like that. I'll be honest. It's probably gonna sound salty and no one's gonna defend me here. I'm gonna be salty.
If you're listening, if you're hanging out in the chat, we all witnessed the same thing. Just share whatever feelings you got.
I don't think anyone's going to share the same opinion. I honestly, I think it's kind of nonsense that like Joe Davis and John Smoltz hate the Yankees and not hate. I don't think Joe Davis hates the Yankees, but he calls Dodger games for a living during the regular season. And John Smoltz absolutely hates the Yankees because of what happened for 10 years of his life. And it's just like, bro, like we can't get a third guy in there that like very clearly isn't on their knees for the Dodgers.
Well, credit to Joe Davis. I think
he does. I think he does a solid job.
I think he calls a good game.
I think he does well, but overall, like you can hear that extra oomph. For the Dodgers.
There's an extra oomph for the Dodgers, but I think he gives a comparable amount of oomph for the Yankees. Did you hear the call on that Stanton?
I was screaming,
bomb?
So no, I was yelling a lot. Yeah, I was loud.
Please, you need to go back and listen to that call.
I don't want to go back for any part of this game.
Scrapes the sky. That was a top tier call. Tier call, given the circumstances and like you said, given the fact that he's like a Dodger guy. Excellent call from Joe Davis there.
Yeah, I did say before the series started that we have two managers that have made difficult and questionable calls, and whether it's hindsight involved, but at some point one of these two managers is going to make a call that we're going to question. I don't understand Nestor. I don't understand. I know the game plan. I know the reports. I know the ideas that he's on the roster for Ohtani. I know Ohtani doesn't have good numbers. I get that. I know that.
Can we put a pin in Nestor?
I guess. Yeah.
Let's put a pin in Nestor real quick. But I want to keep it on this topic because I made a note because I wanted to ask you your thoughts on the two. It seems to be the theme here of me asking you your thoughts on these moves to the pen, specifically with Clay Holmes and Luke Weaver, bringing in Holmes after Garrett Cole. I'd want to say he had that little sort of sawed off single out into left center, I believe, Teoscar. Mm-hmm. And so he brings in Clay Holmes in the bottom of the 7th, and then immediately plunks Max Muncy. Before he even did that, were you okay with that move
Oh yeah, I feel really good about Clay Holmes right now. I really do. Like oddly enough, I know. But I think there's been enough time removed, and I think he's looked good enough in the postseason that like I feel confident. It's when the button is being pressed that I have an issue. And Boone is notorious for trying to steal outs instead of understanding show me an analytic that has a reliever with better numbers throwing, sitting down, and coming back in. Like show me an analytic that a reliever isn't better with a clean inning. And I understand some of them are supposed to come in during, wedges, during difficult moments, during, game impacting moments. And that's what holds are all about. It's just when you start stealing outs like that, you're almost burning a reliever too soon. And I felt that Clay Holmes was burned too soon, which means that you got to press the Canely button too soon. And then when you're not trusting Canely to finish out an inning, you burn the Weaver button too soon.
Chain reaction for sure.
And it's just there's not enough depth at the back end of that bullpen to do that. I think Jake Cousins was admirable, but let's face it, he was out for weeks before the postseason, and he hasn't. I don't think he's really looked the same of what we saw during the regular season. And that's what he does. This is what Boone does. And like one can argue that's why we're here, I guess. I don't know, but like I hated it. I hated all of it. I hated Nestor being in the game so much.
Still putting a pin in the Nestor thing.
I hated it.
Another pitching question for you. This whole Tommy Canely changeup thing. The stubbornness of not just Dodgers hitters, but hitters that he has faced prior to this with this whole changeup streak. He went into, he finished out that inning having thrown 50 consecutive changeups. And I don't remember what happened when because he came back out, I believe, right, for the next inning after that. I don't know if that streak continued or what. I'd sort of stopped paying attention to it. But as his opposition, the inability to make an adjustment, they talked about it on the broadcast. Move up in the box, take it, and that's what Smoltz was saying.
Something.
Move up in the box, take away a little bit of the movement, that tail end movement off the changeup, and maybe get some more bat on the ball. It was just mind blowing to me because I would have to imagine even the most casual fan who's slightly interested in the World Series is aware of this changeup streak at this point.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me.
Nasty, man.
It is. I mean, and
it's
credit to the hitters. It's tough, but I mean, make an adjustment.
And more often than not, that it misses down because of the amount of movement. It misses down typically.
Right.
It's similar approach to like a Clay Holmes, like scoot up in the box and get to that sinker before it dips down below too much. So yeah, I don't know, man. He's done great. It's this trying to steal outs. It's this. If I see Weaver come out for another, and he did good, he held it, like he did his job. But like, if I see him come out for another, anything over a normal 3-out save or hold, I'm losing my mind. I can't do it anymore. And again, like you burn things too quickly, and that, like you said, it's a ripple effect. And then when we get to these points of, if we can't claw another run across, we're now in the 10th and we're running dry. And then we're left with this. Tim Hill's been great. And if you're wanting to have the Nestor argument against Ohtani, great. Like, we still got to go. If we get him out, we still gonna if the plan was to walk Mookie, like, you still got to get through Freddie. I don't like that. And Nestor missed his spot. Supposed to be up and in, missed down and in. What hitter from the left side can't dominate that pitch? Obviously, a Hall of Famer is going to handle that pitch, and he did. He put it on freaking Broadway. It's just questionable moves. Tim Hill has been very good, and he's funky. That's not an easy angle he comes from. And if you're going to sit here and say that you were worried about a wild pitch or whatever, like, I don't want to hear it. That's not what I want to hear. That's not a reason to go with Nestor, who we haven't seen.
What, in a month?
And we have no idea if the velo's there. Like, I just super, super questionable move. And I feel like the Yankees had this. I feel like they had it.
Well, That's sort of what I was telling you, and I know it's not much of a consolation, but what we were talking about before we hopped on is that for you, a Yankees fan, I would at least have the confidence in knowing that you did enough to win the game, short of an Aaron Boone questionable call. And that's not hindsight. This isn't revisionist history. They said it immediately, and if you've been paying attention to the whole Nestor Cortez trajectory, you know we haven't seen this kind of month. Even before the home run happened, before the Freddie Freeman walk-off grand slam happened, you know that that's probably not the best guy to go to. And I think Nestor probably knew that. And this is what we talked about last episode.
The world knew it.
This is what I told you last episode. I said, you have this guy talking about how he's talking about the severity of this injury that he's dealing with, the UCL injury, talking about how there's part of his mind that's already chalking out or, writing off next year. He's like, if I can end this World Series with a ring, and it means it means me missing all of next year, and we talked about it. You and I agreed. Great mindset. Love the bulldog type mentality there. But what does that say about the severity of what he's dealing with if he's already telling you that it's something that could more than likely knock him out for next year? Is that the guy you want to bring in, having not thrown in a month, in a situation where he could give up the game?
That's my problem. Why that spot? Why that spot? If you're looking to steal outs, do that in the 6th. Do that in the 7th. Do that in a spot where you still have time to recover if it doesn't go well. Because let's face it, live hitters, bullpens aren't going to tell you what that's going to be. That's not a good enough tell. You're not going to know what he is or what he has until you see him in this game moment. So I don't understand why you're putting him in that spot where you can't recover. Especially when you're running double barrel in the bullpen and Tim Hill's ready to go. You didn't press that button yet.
With the way that this game went, I have no problem with the. I mean, maybe in terms of getting these leverage relievers clean innings, like you said, that would be the only thing I probably would have changed. However, I don't disagree with Boone's decision to go to those guys, because this is the trend now. You're seeing these managers go to these high leverage guys earlier in games in the high leverage situations.
That's fine.
If it were up to me, Nestor Cortez doesn't see the mound at all in game 1.
I agree.
Because you talk about the importance, they talk about it, that you see the statistic floating around all the time, the importance of winning game 1. And especially for the Yankees, if you're able to go into Dodger Stadium on the road, steal a win to start the series, and you're putting yourself, percentage points that much higher in terms of your odds of being able to win this thing.
Yeah.
But then you go out and you try to get a guy, get him some ABs to shake the rust off in the bottom of the 10th inning.
Yeah, with the bases loaded against a Hall of Famer. Make it make sense, bro. Make it make sense.
And I don't care about the bad ankle for Freddie Freeman. Me
neither.
Honestly, it might have been A-Rod talking about it before the game, or maybe I think it was Smoltz. He's like, or maybe even D-Row on MLB Network today. I don't know. Somebody was talking about how Freddie Freeman 50% still better than a lot of players out there. So the more I talk about this Nestor decision, the more I'm like, what horrendous. Were you thinking, dude?
It's horrendous.
Oh my goodness.
It's bad. That's the moment. That's what's going to be decided. And I told you one of these guys was, and props to Dave Roberts, because I think it's been a little bit since he's pressed one of those buttons and been wrong and been ridiculed in the media for it. But Boone does this once a week, man. I've watched it once a week for years now. This is just what he does.
Part of me wonders if he was looking across the field into the Dodgers dugout, seeing Dave Roberts go to Alex Vesia, who, fortunate for the Dodgers, was able to make the roster. He seems to be doing well. He came out, had a strong outing.
Yeah.
3 up, 3 down that first inning that he was in there. I think did he only go 1? I don't think he only went 1. retired the only 3 hitters he faced. Part of me wonders, like, is Aaron Boone trying to one up him? Be like, hey, I know Vestia hasn't pitched in a handful of days, but I got a guy here who hasn't pitched in a month, and maybe we can get him a 3 up, 3 down situation. Like,
I don't know, man.
My goodness,
I don't know. It's just some interesting decisions. I think, and it doesn't help the confidence. It doesn't help Nestor in any way. You know what I mean? Like, Tim Hill just it made more sense. It made more sense. And outside of, if you remove the numbers against Ohtani, there's no other argument for Nestor being in that spot. There's absolutely no other argument.
And not to keep rehashing that, or to keep harping on it, but like this, I wholeheartedly believe with every fiber of my being that was not the right decision, and that this is not hindsight bias. This is looking at the situation, recognizing that this guy has not pitched in a month, and you're bringing him in
as a starter. When's the last time you saw a relief appearance?
Oh my goodness. It gets worse. Game 1 of the World Series on the road in a game in which you are winning in extra innings.
Yeah. Acting like this is some kind of Joker card that you're pulling out. It's insane, bro. It's insane. I think one thing, by the way, we kind of glossed over this move, and I do think it's something that was strange when I saw it happen, because there wasn't a big difference in speed, but Gleyber hits that double with the interference, and Dominguez gets the pinch run, and then as Oswaldo gets the defensive replacement for Gleyber at second. I don't know if there's enough speed difference. I'm not staring at analytics. I can't assume that Dominguez is that much faster, that much better of a base runner than Oswaldo. But it makes you curious as to, like, why would you burn 2 of your bench players in one move?
Right.
And it also makes you wonder, like, especially now with what Nestor just did, how much is John Birdie going to be missed? Like, say what you will, but like that's a bona fide veteran bench player who has shown experience at pretty much every position in the infield. Gives you more options. I like Jason Dominguez, and I get that you need a 4th outfielder, but like that was something that I wondered also. And again, when the Yankees win, a lot of this stuff gets covered up. And the fact that the Yankees are in the World Series, Aaron Boone probably doesn't get the, ridicule that I think he deserves. I just don't think he's a very good manager. I don't think he makes the right calls. I don't trust his gut. And this is another example to add to the stack that I've watched for 6 years now.
I don't know, man. I mean, and I know we've been harping on the Boone/Nestor decision here, but I don't want that to take away from the magnitude of what Freddie Freeman was able to do here at the end of the game. I told you
before we hopped on, I still don't know where that ball landed. I can't watch it. The second I saw it down in, and I just put my head down, I hear Joe Davis popping off, and I'm like, I am frozen.
He touched that ball. That bat drop.
Yeah.
Shout out Andrew. He texted me right away. OG follower of the pod. He shot me a text, said the bat drop was cold, and my goodness, you just know. And I think we can look at Freddie Freeman. We can look at his character. We can look at his career, the type of player he is, and probably reach the conclusion that he's not looking at that situation going, and I took that personally. He's probably looking at that going,
yeah, he knows baseball.
It's Mookie Betts. Like, I just happen to be the next guy up in this.
Yeah. Just who's been hitting straight líneas all game.
I just happen to be the next guy up in this world-beating offense. Yeah. So, shout out to Freddie for just being a pro's pro, doing what he, I would imagine, stepped up to the plate to do. And good for and honestly, like taking a step back from baseball,
I could be crazy here, but I think he has reverse splits.
It's very possible.
I feel like Freeman is very good left. I could be wrong.
But
anyway.
No, what I was saying is, take a step back from baseball. That has to feel so good for him and his family, given what happened earlier this year with his son and everything. I would imagine they've probably gone through a lot. Freddie, you just gotta love that for him. You certainly, Dodgers fans are loving that for themselves. But the comment here in the chat about Judge, we haven't really even touched on that. And we sort of touched on it in regards to Stanton's home run. But the parallel there or the connection there, going back to the AL, what was that? The DS, maybe the CS, both.
Same story.
Me sending you the Captain Phillips meme. I'm the captain now. And hey, credit to you. I'll tip my cap to you. You acknowledged it tonight. You said you can go ahead and say it after he hit the home run. And I had at that point I had already posted it to all the platforms, so I was already thinking of it. But
it's just Judge is just pressing so much.
3 Ks. What was he? One for 4 tonight.
One for 4. Yeah. 1 for 4. Just pressing, man. Just pressing hard. And it's you're watching him swing over the top of sliders and curveballs down that we didn't see almost all year. And now it's
except April.
And now we're seeing like the early Judge from a few years ago, that watching him chase the way he used to chase. And it's crazy to watch him press the way he's pressing.
We're seeing April Judge right now. That's the reality of it.
It's bad, dude. It's really, really bad. I don't know, man. I don't think there's going to be any drastic lineup changes because Boone doesn't do that.
Which I can respect. I don't like reactionary lineup moves like that.
I don't either. Unless it's been like, a stretch over a few series. But like, what are you you can't take him out. You can't move him. Even with the struggle that he's having, he's still a presence in the box. He's still affecting the way pitchers are attacking him. And he's still probably a big reason why Stanton is having the success he's having.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Like, those are still effects and ripple effects of a game, but it's tough, man. It's tough. I don't know. I do know that I don't know if I can rock this jersey again. I gotta.
That's tough.
I think I'm going to road gray tomorrow. It's gonna be tough, man. I gotta find a dub somewhere.
Who's on the back of that?
Road gray is also Jeter. This is Jeter. That's also Jeter. Then I got 2.
Oh, that's the one. That's the one you wore back when we went to the wild card game in Boston. That's right.
Yeah. Maybe not that one either. Then. I've got a pinstripe Judge and then a pinstripe Mickey. So there's got to be a dub somewhere in there.
Bridge of October podcast in the chat says, from Sarah Lang's 2-out walk-off home runs while trailing in World Series history, 88 Kirk Gibson game 1, and tonight Freddie Freeman.
That's good stat.
Making history.
Stat.
I mean,
the heck of a ball game. I'm
just incredible.
I'm hurting, man. I'm hurting. It's this is what I said when you get full tilt Dodgers and full tilt Yankees. I think it's going to be a good series, but when the Yankees do this, they beat themselves. And I'm not taking away credit from a ridiculous top of the order in Dodgers in creating that rally in the 10th, but like the Yankees do this, man. They beat themselves and they have a manager that manages to do the same. And they can't afford to do that. Not against this team. So, I don't know. I know it's game 1. I know there's a lot left in this series, but I'm struggling my confidence meter is dipping down for sure. It's a gut punch.
It's game 1. It's game one. As somebody, I will say this, and you can choose to believe me or not. I did my best to watch tonight, and I'm going to continue to try to do my best this series to watch it with as unbiased of eyes as I can. And like, sure, I'm not pulling for the Yankees to win the World Series by any stretch, but I am pulling for quality baseball.
Yeah.
And we got that tonight, and I'm confident that even as crushing as this loss is for the Yankees, that they're going to bounce back. I had somebody reach out to me. They texted me today, said, "What's your prediction?" I said, "I'm going Dodgers in 6." And he texted me back and said, "Why aren't you going Dodgers in 4? I thought you were a Sox guy." And I was like, I can't be that stupid.
Yeah.
I can't be that stupid. And I truly believe that. Like, I think the Yankees are going to be more than capable of bouncing back. And not to mention, it goes without saying, but they're going to be heading back to the Bronx after game 2, which, any scenario.
If they snag game 2, I feel a million times better. But if they drop these first 2, I'm struggling to see it.
In any scenario, I don't care who the teams involved are. If you drop the first game of a series, you win the next one, and then you go home, I would argue that's probably best case scenario. If you are going to lose one,
it's the first one. That's
we talk about the importance of winning game 1, but what's happened has happened. But if you're the Yankees, you can win game 2 and just maybe make people forget a little bit about game 1, and then you come home. We're looking at a very interesting rest of the series.
Sure are. All right.
Hey, I'm proud of you, man. Last thing I'll say, when I saw that we were going to the bottom of the 9th, I was like, okay, well, Nate's either going to be pumped or he's going to be absolutely crushed, because there's no scenario now where we can just have like a 6-2 win that wasn't necessarily all that close. But you handled your own tonight, just given the circumstances.
Trying to make sure I don't get too high or too low, man. This is
and that's why the people love you, Nate. You're admirable baseball fan.
I'm hurting. Anyways, guess we'll see you tomorrow.
Game 1 in the books. Game 1 in the books. We'll see you guys for game 2. A little bit of a surprise, even for us. It was kind of a game time decision for us. You know what? Let's just run it. Let's just run it with the nightly recaps. We were planning on just coming to you guys live from the travel days, or the off days, whichever you want to call it. But we're like, no, you know what? Let's run it nightly. And boy, am I glad we made that decision.
Yeah, me too. We'll see you guys tomorrow. I gotta get out of here. I can't talk about it anymore. I gotta take this jersey off.
Proud of you.
Thanks. Don't go chasing curveballs.
We love you all, and as always, looking forward to talking more baseball with you guys soon. Until next time, stay filthy.